So, Lara, should they use proprietary LLMs or open source? Can you tell me about what is what and when we should use which?
Yeah, so basically open source and proprietary LLMs, they each have their own advantages and disadvantages. So in general, the choice between open source and proprietary, it really depends on your specific needs, on your resources, on the expertise that you have. So it really depends. And what's important is that if you choose a platform, for example, like Databricks, that's designed to work well with all models, both proprietary and open source, I really think it's the best way forward because it's expected that generally you might end up having to use a combination of both. And in any case, as we all know, the state of like the art in Gen AI, it's really rapidly advancing. So no single model is going to be perfect for all the use cases that you have. So it's really good to keep your options open. So when you use proprietary LLMs, you will have to interact through proprietary APIs. And so a platform like Databricks supports using APIs and then has the advantage of offering governance on top of it. And then for open source model, you can get a lot of open source models from repositories like Hugging Face. And again, you can use all of them on a platform like Databricks. And so, yeah, basically it really depends on, like your particular need, your expertise, etc. But there's really like pros and cons to both. So can you tell us more about the pros and cons of proprietary LLMs, for example?
When we're talking about proprietary LLMs, we mean that a provider is serving us with a specific model, like ChatGPT, for example. So the good thing with this is that you can access state-of-the-art models without really needing any expertise. So you have the model as a service and you just hit it with a prompt, you prompt it nicely, and then you go get the response back. It's kind of a black box, you don't know what's happening inside, but you get what you need out of this. So it's very easy to start, it's a very quick win. However, when it comes to the cons, the thing is that you are dependent to this provider. So if you build an application around this model, then you're dependent to the provider who is serving you with the model. And if we start thinking about now sensitivity and data, what it means is that when you ask the provider when you prompt the LLM that the provider gives you with some data, this data leaves your system and go to the provider system. So that is something you need to consider when you have security concerns or you are dealing with sensitive data.
That's great. And what about the pros and cons of open source models?
Yes, of course. So on the other side, we have the open source models, which are the models free for commercial use. If you go to Hugging Face, you'll see there all the different open source models. Like if you build an open source model, you can put it out there for the world to use. And what you do there is you can access any model that anyone has built and also specialized models, as if apart from the generic models, you can have models specific for chat conversations or for instruction following, or even specified and fine-tuned models for a specific sector, like a medical sector. Now, these models are open, so you can go to see their code in GitHub, you can see their weights, you can see the data they were trained on. So it's full transparency and you know exactly what's happening inside. The other thing is that you get the model and you have it and you host it in your environment. So you have a full control over it. It's kind of your own model, but someone else built it. And of course, since it's open and you know the weights and you know how it was built, you can take and fine tune it to your own data and make it completely your own model. And in general, you need to make sure that it works with the infrastructure that you have as well. Some of these models are heavy, so you need to have the right compute to serve it and have a good performance for your application overall. The last thing we can discuss is around the foundational models. So apart from open models or proprietary models, we have another term, which is foundational models, Lara. So what are those?
Yeah, basically a foundation model, it's a type of AI model that is designed to be really flexible and adaptable for a lot of different tasks. So basically whether it's text generation, audio generation, image manipulation. So obviously an obvious example is, GPT-3, GPT-4. So the foundation models that underpin, like the chat agent, chat GPT. And one thing that's interesting about foundation model is that when you use the Databricks platform, foundation models, they can basically be accessed through the foundation model APIs. And so you can access and query them from a serving endpoint so that you can quickly and easily build applications that will leverage a high quality Gen AI model without having to maintain your own model deployments, which is great, basically.
So do you want to go and have a look at it?
Yes, let's get into a demo. And so here we're in the Databricks environment. And so now if we scroll down to our machine learning environment, and more particularly, we click on the serving tab, we get this foundation model API. So as you can see here, we can easily access and query popular models like Llama, Mixtral, or BGE from a serving endpoint to build applications. So here, if we click on query, we get automatically an example of what this could look like. So for example, we can ask, what is Databricks? Send a request, and then this is going to be queried from a service endpoint, and we're going to get the answer right away. So it's very cool because you can easily leverage the models without having to, maintain your own model deployment.